Good evening. Oh god, I got a score on screen. Good evening, ghouls and fiends. Welcome once again to another edition of the Ministry of Horror. I am your host, Tez, and this is the weekly, where possible, horror podcast with all the latest in horror news, reviews, and sometimes, and on this occasion, a featured presentation. That's right, we actually have one this week. Shout out to Fran in the Discord, her idea, and yeah, we've got a featured presentation for a change. I hope everyone's been well. Thank you very much for dropping by, whether this is on YouTube or other podcast platforms. It's been busy. It's been busy. We are getting closer and closer to my wedding. It's basically 8 weeks today. I will be a married man. There will be a ring on my hand. And I don't really wear jewelry, so that's gonna take a hell of a lot of getting used to. But yeah, it's exciting. But I mean, weddings are just generally stressful, and you want to bang your head against a brick wall because no wedding is without stress. I defy anyone to say otherwise. And if you had a zero stress wedding, fuck you. No, I'm sorry. That's really rude. Anyway. Yeah, we've been doing that, and TikTok. TikTok has really kind of blown up in the last couple of weeks. Really, we had a steady 50 odd followers on the TikTok channel, and I'd occasionally do the odd video. More often than not, it would be clips from this show. Start putting a little bit of effort into doing actual videos, and sorry, just looking at my watch. I started putting some actual effort into doing some videos, and yeah, shot up. We're over 400 followers now, which is pretty cool. And some of the followers really kind of blow my mind. Signature Entertainment, but their official channel. I mean, that's pretty cool. So. If you have recently followed the Ministry of Horror, thank you very much. Keep liking the videos because it gives me a dopamine hit, and when we are living in constant stress, I need all the dopamine hits that I can get. So thank you. But otherwise, yeah, we've done an impromptu stream last weekend, I think, of a game called Karma. Quite interesting. It's a little bit of a horror walking sim. Which is right up my alley. I'm thinking like Layers of Fear, that sort of thing. It's pretty cool. It's very Twin Peaks influenced in terms of some of the rooms being red curtains, velvet curtains all around, and then zigzag floors. It's very avant-garde. It's very cool. Very, very cool. I like it. But outside of that, I've watched a couple of films, and we're going to be reviewing them later on. Those films are the Shudder exclusive. That's right. Shudder have had a new film on their service. What? That's unheard of recently. It's been a little bit of a shit show for releases there. To be honest, not massively impressed, but no, they had a new film on Monster Island. Going to be reviewing that a little bit later on, and then also I finally got to get to the cinema to see Bring Her Back. We'll be talking about that a bit later on. And then the featured presentation, as I mentioned at the very start of the show, the idea from Fran was basically horror television. We've done a show before on horror TV, but what horror shows do I want to watch that I just haven't actually watched yet? So that's quite an interesting topic. We're going to talk about that a bit later on, but I'm going to try and keep this lean because we are recording this now on Sunday night. It's been a heck of a weekend. It's been non-stop. I'm fucking knackered, so I want to just chill with some video games and maybe a horror film before I've got to go to bed and get up to go to the gym, and then the whole cycle of gym, work, bury my head in the sand. It starts all over again. So without further ado, we're jumping straight into the horror news. This is the news.
You hang up on me again, I'll cut you like a fish, understand?
Sound effects work this time. Good. Right, straight into it. BloodyDisgusting.com. This is where all my horror news comes from. Love those guys. This is the Friday, so only 2 days late, releases in the cinema and home releases, I believe. 6 new horror movies released this week. This write-up is from John Squires. Thank you, John. So, after scaring up an impressive 150 million worldwide, making it the 3rd highest grossing horror movie of the year so far, Danny Boyle's long-awaited sequel, 28 years later, has made its way home this week. You can now purchase or rent the film on premium VOD outlets, including Amazon, with a digital rental costing $19.99 and a purchase running you $24.99. The long-awaited sequel to 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later puts Danny Boyle back in the director's chair, with Alex Garland scripting. 28 years later, it's been almost 3 decades since the Rage virus escaped a biological weapons laboratory, and now, still in a ruthlessly enforced quarantine, some have found ways to exist amidst the infected. One such group of survivors lives on a small island connected to the mainland by a single, heavily defended causeway. When one of the group leaves the island on a mission into the dark heart of the mainland, he discovers secrets, wonders, and horrors that have mutated not only the infected, but other survivors as well. Alfie Williams, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Jodie Comer, and Ralph Fiennes star. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's proved to be quite a divisive film. Some people absolutely loved it. Some people thought it was decent. But the other end of the spectrum, some people actually hated it. My fiance's brother-in-law, he was very excited to watch the film. Absolutely hated every second of it. So it's quite interesting talking to him about it because I really, really enjoyed it. But yeah, it's if you are a fan, it is worth a watch. But it's not universally beloved. Next up, one decision can change everything in The Plastic Men, now available on VOD. Based on true story inspired by a viral Craigslist ad, the psychological horror drama The Plastic Men is written and directed by Samuel Gonzalez Jr. Vietnam veteran Jonathan Teller, struggling with guilt and horrifying hallucination, plans his suicide. Certain words on streaming services they don't like you to use, so this may destroy the YouTube algorithm, but I've stopped it myself. You may have guessed what I was about to read out. But a chance encounter with a mysterious woman changes everything. James Preston, Aaron Dalla Villa, Melanie Martin, Matthew Fahey, and Gigi Gustin star in the film, with William Fitcher playing the role of the narrator. It's quite a heavy subject topic there. Vietnam vet struggling with guilt and psychological horror. I mean, you're automatically going to think Jacob's Ladder, but yeah, there we go. Next up. Oh god, this apparently is terrible, and it looks really bad. H.G. Wells' sci-fi classic War of the Worlds gets a new screen life reimagining starring Ice Cube, and the film was released out of nowhere on Prime Video this week. War of the Worlds, from producers Patrick Alio and Timur Bekmambetov, was directed by Rich Lee. Kenneth Gold and Mark Hyman wrote the new adaptation. The modern-day adaptation follows Will Radford, played by Ice Cube, top cybersecurity analyst for Homeland Security, who spends his days tracking potential threats to national security through a mass surveillance program, until an attack by an unknown entity leads him to question whether the government is hiding something from him and the rest of the world. Set against a backdrop of surveillance, mass data collection, and government tech collusion, the film explores urgent themes of privacy versus security, family versus work, and humanity versus control. With nods to Orwell's 1984 and powered by Screen Life style format, I don't know what that means, this refresh of H.G. Wells' classic novel resonates with today's digital anxieties. Yeah, I've seen some stills. I've not seen any videos, but I've seen some stills. It looks bad. It does. Next up, I'm excited to watch this. Real-life spouses Dave Franco and Alison Brie star in Neon's new body horror nightmare Together, and the acclaimed film is now playing exclusively in theatres nationwide. Years into their relationship, Tim and Millie find themselves at a crossroads as they move to the country, abandoning all that's familiar in their lives except for each other. With the tensions already flaring, a nightmarish encounter with a mysterious, unnatural foe threatens to corrupt their lives, their love, and their flesh. Damon Herriman, Sonny S. Walia, Jack Kenny, and Mia Morrissey also star. Writer-director Michael Shanks makes his feature debut with Together. Yeah, the trailers look really good, really interesting. This idea of their bodies kind of, I don't know what is the crux other than something going on in this cave and maybe some sort of cult element, but their bodies start melding together in a very strange way. Next, a horrific adventure soaked in blood, salt, and vengeance. Blood Red Beach is a supernatural slasher that follows a cursed pirate hellbent on revenge, and anyone who sets foot on his island will pay the price. The film was exclusively released on physical media today by Mad Angel Films, where you can grab the Blu-ray, DVD, and/or VHS. group of friends head to a remote island looking for adventure, but stumble into something far more sinister. The vengeful ghost of pirate Captain Roderick Cross cursed centuries ago to haunt this land until his stolen treasure is returned. As the island's secrets unravel, the group must find a way to end the curse or join the captain's crew of the damned, me hearty. The indie film is directed by Matthew A. Peters and written by Mark Joseph Peake, who also stars. It could be fun. Ghostly pirate horror. You think The Fog, but it could be a new take on it. Pirates can be spooky. I recently jumped back into my rewatch of Supernatural, and it was a season 3 episode with a ghost pirate which drowned people. So there you go. Right, let's scroll a bit further down. Right, the supernatural horror movie Queen of Bones has finally been released in the United States this week, with Vertical bringing the film to VOD outlets beginning today. Julie Butters, Jacob Tremblay, Martin Freeman and Taylor Schilling star in the folk horror film. Queen of Bones follows twin siblings, Lily and Sam, who live at a remote homestead with their widowed father Malcolm, and who's a violin maker in 1931 Oregon. When Lily and Sam find an Icelandic spellbook in the cellar, they begin to suspect a connection between their mother's death and dark forces in the woods. They then embark on a dangerous mission to force their father and his friend Ida May to reveal the truth. Rupert Boudreau, directed from a script by Michael Bergner. I like Martin Freeman. Jacob Tremblay has been in some interesting films. Yeah, sounds interesting. There we go. And then finally, and I do think this isn't featured in my TV thing later on the feature presentation, but I do think I will actually try and start watching this. So on the small screen this week, don't forget the Twisted Metal Season 2 premiered on Peacock earlier this week. The first 3 episodes of the new season are now streaming. New episodes release every Thursday through to August 28th. I won't read further because I'm just I've just told myself I'm going to start Twisted Metal, and it feels as though the synopsis may give away some of how the first season ended. So yeah, new season of Twisted Metal for fans, some crossover fans maybe of Ministry of Slam. Samoa Joe is in the show as whatever the clown's called, the clown. Next up, it's everyone's favourite universe. Forget Marvel, forget the DCEU, the Jason universe. Jason Universe and Angry Orchard join forces for limited edition thriller pack of hard cider, John Squires writes. Jason Voorhees officially returns to the screen on August 13th with the premiere of Sweet Revenge, a short-form vignette from the Jason Universe team that kicks off a collaboration with the hard cider makers over at Angry Orchard. The vignette is sponsored by Angry Orchard, and the alcoholic beverage will be prominently featured in the slasher short starring Jason. In addition to the short film, we've learned that Angry Orchard will be releasing a special thriller pack of hard cider that features spooky cans emblazoned with Jason's image. Releasing in August, the thriller pack from Jason Universe and Angry Orchard features 12 cans of hard cider in total, with 4 different flavours that each feature fun Halloween names. The full lineup includes Berry Bewitched, Blood Orange, Headless Pumpkin, Sinful Apple. It's the Blood Orange can that's particularly special for Friday the 13th fans, as the new Jason Voorhees mask dominates the can art. The mask is also featured prominently on the packaging for the thriller pack, which glows in the dark to make the mask pop even further. Yeah, I mean, it's just the whole terminology, Jason Universe. I hate that. That it's the new Jason film. It's not a film, it's a short film, but it's not really a short film, it's a vignette. And it's sponsored by Angry Orchard, so is it going to be just a glorified advert for cider? Like, what the hell are we doing here? People want Jason and Freddy back in the cinemas, and with Freddy it's a bit more difficult because Robert Englund was Freddy Krueger. You can say, you could say the same about Jason, that Kane Hodder is Jason. It's a bit different because there's no voice, there was no direct personality through quips and one-liners. It's just Kane Hodder had a particular way of moving and acting as Jason, but really it's a person under a mask. Just as I'm boiling it down to simplicities here. But with Freddy, there's the personality aspect. We did try it with Jackie Earle Haley, and I think he was okay. It's just the film he was in was absolute horseshite. But with people just want new Friday the 13th films. It's just there's a hunger there. It's we've seen that it can work with Halloween, bringing that property back, and I would say that Halloween's always been slightly more highbrow to an extent than the Friday films, but I don't know, man. On one hand, it's like, okay, we're going to get some new official Jason films, but on the other hand, it's like, in what form? In what form are we actually dealing with this? Next up, Strange Harvest serial killer Mr. Shiny sends a message in new clip. Alex DiVincenzo writes, Mr. Shiny is ready to drill his message into you with the lo-fi clip from Strange Harvest below. The mysterious serial killer is at the centre of an otherworldly investigation in the faux true crime documentary from Grave Encounters writer-director Stuart Ortiz. Strange Harvest opens in theatres next week on August 8th via Saban Films and roadside attractions. A routine welfare check in the San Bernardino suburbs leads to a gruesome discovery. A family of 3 has been bound, bled, and posed below a strange symbol written in blood on the ceiling. Detectives Joe Kirby and Lexi Taylor recognise the symbol as the calling card of a killer from 15 years earlier, calling himself Mr. Shiny, who has seemingly returned to continue his murder spree. It's not long before Mr. Shiny begins leaving horrifying new crime scenes in his wake. It soon becomes evident the case is anything but routine, and that the murders and their perpetrator may be part of some sinister agenda involving cosmic phenomena and evil forces from beyond. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited for this. I really did enjoy Grave Encounters 1 and 2. 2 has some good moments. I liked what they were going for. I felt they needed to trim the fat a little bit, and I don't remember it being a very long film, but it certainly felt a little bit padded out. But I liked overall what they were trying to do. Just it wasn't as effective as the first film. But I do enjoy me a good faux true crime documentary. I mean, I was a big fan of the very first Horror in the High Desert. I don't know when the 4th film comes out, but I remember that the 2nd and 3rd are just like, okay, the 3rd had some better moments, I'd say, than the 2nd. But yeah, it's when a faux true crime documentary is done well, it's incredibly effective. So I have hope for this. I do think that we could be getting something pretty gnarly with this one. And then finally on the horror news, and there's been other horror news, of course. I mean, I don't know if we talked about it on the show, because I get so mixed up between what I've done on TikTok and what I've done on the podcast, but Hellraiser, we're getting a Hellraiser single-player video game. A single-player horror game based on a franchise, a horror property. I am hyped. I'm excited. Please don't fuck this up. Yeah, I think it'd be great. Anyway, next up, finally I should say, John Krasinski returning to direct A Quiet Place Part 3 for summer 2027. John Squires writes, in the wake of 2 mainline movies, a spin-off film and a video game, the world of A Quiet Place is set to be expanded even further with A Quiet Place Part 3, and we've learned today that John Krasinski is back to direct, write, and produce the upcoming 3rd instalment. It will be released in theatres July 9th, 2027. Last we heard, the 3rd instalment in the mainline Quiet Place series would likely continue the Abbott family storyline, with Emily Blunt expected to return for A Quiet Place Part 3, but that has not been confirmed at this time. Stay tuned for more as we learn. The most recent instalment of the franchise was last year's spin-off movie A Quiet Place Day 1, a prequel to the Alien Invasion saga set in New York City starring Lupita Nyong'o. Okay, yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed A Quiet Place. The first one, and the second one I do feel I need to give it a rewatch. I remember just feeling it kind of ended a bit abruptly, but I did go and watch it on a date, and the date wasn't very good. So, and this was a long time ago. This is a long time ago, and so maybe that peppered my my feelings on the film. Maybe, I don't know. So maybe I need to give that a rewatch. But A Quiet Place Day 1, I thought was pretty good. It was quite a heart pulling at the heartstrings film, you know, and it's quite an upsetting storyline, but it's done very well. It's A Quiet Place Day 1, I think, was quite a neat prequel film in the series. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to be interested to see what they do with the Part 3. And I do need to give Part 2 a rewatch, I think. Maybe my opinions on it were a little bit skewered. And that is it, Ghouls and Fiends, for the horror news. Oh. Did that in the wrong order? That was the news. And now it's time for reviews. Bam! First up in the horror reviews, we have the Shudder exclusive, or Shudder original, don't know which, Monster Island, or as it's also known, Orang I Can. So as with all our horror reviews, we will talk a little bit about the film, talk about the highs, the lows, and I'll give my opinion with a score out of 10. So this is written and directed by Mike Wailuan, starring Dean Fujioka, Callum Woodhouse, and Alan Maxson. Set in the Pacific, 1942, a Japanese soldier and a British prisoner of war are stranded on a deserted island, hunted by a deadly creature. Two mortal enemies must come together to survive the unknown. So, first off, I need to just jump right into it. If you're a fan of the Universal horror films, as you know I am, the original, the black and white ones, if we're talking Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, Bride of Dracula, Creature from the Black Lagoon, The Mummy. You basically the Universal Blu-ray set of those classic black and white films. And like me, you may have been thinking over the years, are we ever going to get like a new version of the Creature from the Black Lagoon? I mean, I guess you could say Shape of Water was like a love story version of that, and it was to an extent. But I'm talking a horror film, man. I'm talking some blood and guts, man. Well, this is it. This is the Creature from the Black Lagoon in all but name. And I suppose not necessarily storyline, but the creature itself is the Creature from the Black Lagoon. 100%. It's essentially like a nightmarish merman, is what it's kind of we're led to believe. Or merwoman, because I think it's a mother. I don't know if... don't know. So, creature. We'll just say creature. So, it opens on a warship. And basically they talk about these hell ships, as they were known, where prisoners of war in Japan were transported to one location to another. But quite often these ships would get bombed by Allied forces because they'd just be mistaken as not harbouring any POWs. And that happens quite a lot, unfortunately. So a lot of tragedy there. But a British soldier is being tortured and beaten. Maybe no, he's a British soldier. But then there is also a Japanese soldier who's being kept as a prisoner because he was a traitor. He did something bad. And they're about to be killed before the commander basically says, well, no, death is too easy for them. We need to bind them together. So they basically put like a manacle chain on both of their ankles, like hammer it in, to then ensure that they are connected. I guess to then try and make them fight. I guess I don't know. I forgot that part. But then the ship gets bombed, and they end up surviving, and getting to the mainland, and a bit of a fight ensues between the two because they are enemies. And the British POW, a number of his colleagues, comrades, have been killed by the Japanese at this point. But that's when we're then introduced to the creature, and yeah, what I can say about this film, let's talk about pros first. The pros, it's pretty damn violent. This creature, from the off, is shown to be a real threat. It can tear creatures, other animals, it can tear their heads in half, it can rip heads off, it can stab with its claws. It's incredibly efficient at killing. So yeah, the fights in this are good. The violence in this is good. The pacing in it works well. The performances are pretty solid throughout, and it's directed well. I suppose the only thing that I could say that would be a minor noticeable thing is that while the practical effects in this are great, and I will always applaud doing practical effects over relying on CGI, we have some great sets, like the cave, like the actual locations when they're by rivers and waterfalls, and then we have some very clear soundstage sets, which I guess just for the nerd in me take me out of it a little bit. So there is a real minor quibble. It's a real, picking hairs sort of situation. But overall, I really enjoyed it. It's on Shudder at the moment, and yeah, I mean, considering we've had a real gap in new horror films on Shudder, it's refreshing because I really didn't enjoy Push from the prior week, but this one's quite refreshing. It works pretty well, and it's Creature from the Bat Lagoon, basically, in all but name. So I'm gonst to give this film. Yeah, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it. I don't really have anything else to remark on Orang Ikan or Monster Island. That's pretty good. It's worth a watch if you like a creature feature. If you like those classic black and white films with an updated twist and some extra violence, you could do worse than this, I think. And then next in the reviews, the one I've been super hype boy for, Bring Her Back. Bring Her Back is a 2025 Australian supernatural psychological horror film directed by Danny and Michael Philippou and written by Danny Philippou and Bill Heinzman. It stars Billy Barrett, Sora Wong, Yona Wren Phillips, and Sally Hawkins. So we'll talk a little bit about the plot and then I'll just get right into my thoughts. So after finding their father dead in the shower, 17-year-old Andy and his partially sighted stepsister Piper are sent to live with Laura, an eccentric former counsellor who also fosters a mute boy named Oliver. Laura's daughter Kathy, who was also blind, died by accidental drowning in the backyard pool. Andy becomes unsettled by Laura's behaviour and Oliver's strange demeanour. Laura begins subtly undermining Andy's mental state, suggesting he is unfit to care for his sister. I won't read any more than that. I don't, because that is really enough to give you an idea of the general. Well, it's not. I don't want to give too much away. But other than supernatural goings on, because I really do feel this is a film that is best watched knowing little, I guess. But this film does deal with the occult. It does deal with some cult elements in amongst its occultism, and oh man, Jesus Christ, this is powerful. This is powerful. When I came out of the cinema, I was thinking, you know what, that was brilliant. I don't think it's as good as Talk to Me, but it's brilliant. But this is a film that stays with you, and there, of course, Talk to Me stayed with me. There's scenes in that I think are excellent. But this is it's just a really sad film. It is just quite sad. There's not that many. I mean, I love horror. There's not that many horror films that really kind of like, get me in the feels. Sinners earlier this year did. I was very surprised by that. But Sinners, and I might even give that a rewatch tonight. Sinners really did get me in the feels. But Bring Her Back, man, it's oh god. So you can probably guess from the title and from the setup with Laura from that little opening blurb, something is going to be going on along those lines. And if you've seen the trailer, you probably are understanding that there's going to be something in regards to trying to bring back someone. Kathy, obviously, I would say it's quite obvious here. The ways in which it's done and how the story develops and how the understanding of how these practices can work, I think, is really, really unique. It's really, there's this crossover with lo-fi horror, lo-fi kind of almost little moments of kind of found footage, I suppose, to an extent. The film isn't found footage, but just, I suppose, in terms of its storytelling on how these events can occur. It's done really, really in quite a nice little unique way. Sally Hawkins is incredible in this film. She is just a tour de force. The ability to just sort of go from being this really kind, caring, a little bit eccentric lady to subtle digs, little comments that just seem a bit out of left field, and little knocks on the character before becoming just such a master manipulator. It's powerful. The performance from the kid playing Oliver, who I think is Jonah Wren Phillips, man, that again, it's just the only word that I can use to describe a lot of this film is just powerful. Every performance has you on the edge of your seat, whilst also being a gut punch and also making you feel sad for the individuals. Like, no one is two-dimensional in this. And there's moments when you just sort of feel like, okay, come on, we need something good to happen, please. Something good has to happen, because there is a lot of pain in this film. There's a lot of hurt. There's at least two scenes where me and my friends in the cinema are just kind of squirming in our seats, because it was just like, oh my god, that is grim, that is horrible. And I think that's a hallmark of a good horror film, if it can have moments that really pull on your heartstrings, but also just make you just shift in your seat and think, oh man, that is just messed up in the best possible way. Yeah, powerful film. I think Danny and Michael Philippou, like, I followed their career from the Raka Raka days, as I've said on the show before. Really loved Talk to Me. Really loved Bring Her Back. I can't wait to see what they do next. It's a shame that they're not doing the Street Fighter film anymore, but if it means they're releasing films like this, I'm not going to complain. Bring Her Back, I'm giving a solid 9 out of 10. I can't say enough good things on this one. Powerful. Really worth a watch, I would say. Now, if the jingle works, it's time for the featured presentation. We're talking TV. We're talking TV shows that have been on my radar, have been something I've thought about watching, but for whatever reason I've never gotten around to. I'm just making sure that I have all of the ones available, which I don't think I do. I think I've somehow not got all my info available. Oh god, I can't write. But these are shows that I've either long been aware of, or have come onto my radar, or have been on my radar a little while, but for whatever reason something has stopped me watching them. Whether it's attention span, which is it's quite possible, or something else. But we're going to get into it. There is a little bit of a theme that, as I was going through looking at the TV shows that I've wanted to watch at some point or another and haven't gotten around to, there's a little bit of a running theme in here that will become apparent as we get through the list. But yeah, we're not going to spend too much time on these, because I'm trying to keep the shows a little bit leaner, and also, like I say, I'm just tired. I'm just tired. We're going to start off with Castle Rock. So, of course, it's going to be Stephen King. Castle Rock is a fictional town appearing in Stephen King's fictional Maine topography, providing the setting for a number of his novels, novellas, and short stories. And the TV series, each season, I believe, works as a standalone show. I think there was only 2 seasons, so there you go. The 2 seasons were standalone shows, but would follow the mythological scale and intimate character storytelling of King's best-loved works, weaving an epic saga of darkness and light played out in a few square miles of Maine woodland. Yeah, I think when this first came out in 2018 was probably around the time that I maybe wasn't watching as much TV. And also, this was at the point when this came out, and I believe it was available on Prime through either MGM Plus, but maybe not so much. Maybe it was Lionsgate TV. And at that point, I don't even know if I had Shudder. I might have just gotten Shudder, but it was very much becoming like, look, I'm already paying for Netflix. I'm paying for Prime. Maybe I'm paying for Disney Plus. I don't know at that stage. I'm paying for Shudder because I'm a horror boy. I'm not paying for another add-on service. Like, I can't do it. I can't warrant it. And it's also one of those shows that I would hear is decent, but I wouldn't really hear anything in particular about it. It wasn't one of those things where you would kind of hear on the grapevine, oh, episode blah, this crazy thing happened. Oh my god, I can't believe this character did blah, or blah blah. You know, there didn't ever really seem to be any notable points on the cultural zeitgeist of things occurring in their show. It was highly highly regarded, I think, generally, but just one that I never saw. It never really occurred to me. I don't actually know what it is available on. So while we're here, I'm gonna go have Prime Video open. Or actually, I think Plex is the good one, even though the service for streaming films proved to actually be terrible. Plex does tell you where you can watch things. So I'm going to have a quick look at Castle Rock. You can buy each season or all seasons for, yeah, you can buy them. Doesn't look like they're available to stream. So that's a shame. But Castle Rock had Andre Holland, Melanie Linsky, and Bill Skarsgård with Jane Levy and Sissy Spacek, Lizzie Kaplan, Paul Sparks, Isla Fisher, Tim Robbins. So it's got a pretty stacked cast of A-listers and heavy hitters there. But it just, for a Stephen King show, and Stephen King is my boy when it comes to novels, of course, and for the most part adaptations, it didn't land. It didn't become readily available for me. I mean, I will just to make sure that that's not the be-all end-all, I will just check on Prime Video, see if it is on a channel. Here you go, Castle Rock available to buy. You can buy the season 1 for $9.99. No, ain't happening, muchacho. Next up, guess what? Stephen King. Guess what? We're talking Stevie K. Another show. It came out a couple of years later, and I believe it is, and I believe it was, and I think still is on Disney Plus. But again, I don't know why I never got around to starting it, considering it's also based on one of my favourite Stephen King novels, or a short story that led into one of my favourite Stephen King novels, Chapelwaite. Chapelwaite is based on Jerusalem's Lot, which is the short story prequel to Salem's Lot. It's an American horror TV series based on the short story Jerusalem's Lot by Stephen King, written by Peter and Jason Filardi, premiered on Epix, in 2021. I believe it was, one season. The series was renewed for a second season. However, in November 2023, it was announced that MGM Plus had decided not to move forward with the second season. So, in 1850, following his wife's tragic death at sea aboard a whaler ship, Captain Charles Boone and his children returned to the small town of Preacher's Corners, Maine, where a dark family history haunts them until confronted. And I believe that dark family history is vampires. Yeah, again, another show that I didn't hear was particularly bad. I didn't hear was amazing, though, but I feel that I should have given it a go. And it's one of those things where I think that I eventually heard it had been cancelled, and I kind of felt like, okay, so if it was going to be continuing, I'm guessing it didn't have a definitive ending to season 1. I'm guessing it was left open for a second season. So if you're then not getting a second season, then you're going to end on a bit of a damp squib, potentially. But yeah, it's a show that should tick all the boxes for me. Adrian Brody, Emily Hampshire, Eric Peterson, I'm sure I've heard of him. Yeah, there's a couple of actors in it. There's a few actors, but a couple of actors that I've heard of. But didn't get around to it. Now, let's have a look. Chapelwaite. Where can you watch this? You can buy it on Amazon Video. Maybe it's not on Disney Plus anymore. Oh god, I can't click in the right box. Chapelwaite. Yeah, just available to buy. Fuck that. Next up, non-Stephen King related, huzzah. So it's one of those things, the completionist in me thinks I really should have watched this at some point. But then the other part of me thinks, is horror TV in the 80s and very early 90s, will it have been any good? Now, don't get me wrong. There's obviously horror elements in The X-Files, and obviously horror elements in Twin Peaks, both shows that started life in the early 90s, very early 90s. But based on the properties that this is, and the next thing we're going to discuss is, I had this preconceived notion that, well, they're probably not going to be that horrific, and I could be wrong on that. And also, I knew that in terms of the name of the show, there isn't that much of a huge connection, or I don't believe there is anyway. I'm talking first off about Freddy's Nightmares, the series based on the film series in name, I believe, horror anthology show based on the Nightmare on Elm Street film series. Each episode is introduced by Freddy Krueger, so there we go, and features 2 different stories. 8 episodes throughout the series actually feature Freddy Krueger as the main antagonist. Okay, well, I may well have been very wrong on that. And the pilot episode begins with Krueger's prosecution on child murdering charges. So maybe I do need to give this a go, but I guess I just had this preconceived notion in my head that, is it going to be a bit janky? You know, is it... I only ever hear about the Nightmare on Elm Street prequel element of it being worth a watch for the story, but I've never really heard any kind of buzz of, well, you know, it's actually badass. It's actually really, really good. No one really talks about it. And looking on Plex, there's nowhere in the UK currently available to watch this without, I guess buying it. So let's just have a look. Why is it whenever I click in the box it doesn't actually do it? Freddy's Nightmares. Unavailable on Prime Video. Let's have a quick look at proper Prime. It's Freddy's Nightmares. You can buy it on import. You can get an import copy of it, but yeah. So again, I think that also factored into it. Just wasn't really readily available. I believe this one is a little bit more readily available, but I think this one has even less of a connection to the film series, and that is Friday the 13th. The series ran for 3 seasons. Follows Mickey and Ryan, cousins who inherited an antique store. After selling all the antiques, they learn from Jack Marshak that the items are cursed. They then work together to recover the objects and return them to the safety of the shop's vault. So, yeah, absolutely nothing to do with the film series, it would appear. Again, this would be more so because of the completionist in me. Feeling that I should watch this, as I've watched all of the Friday films, but yeah, and I also don't think it's that readily available. Let's have a quick look. Yep, not available to stream in my location. So that's another factor that's played into why I've never seen that show, but part of me thinks I should. I should at some point. Now, moving away from that property, we're going to move on to a new adaptation of an old tale. Fall of the House of Usher. The Fall of the House of Usher is an American Gothic horror drama series created by Mike Flanagan. All episodes are on Netflix as of 2023, each directed by either Flanagan or Michael Fumogunari, with the latter also acting as cinematographer for the series. Loosely based on various works by Edgar Allan Poe, most prominently the eponymous 1840 short story, the series adapts otherwise unrelated stories and characters by Poe into a single non-linear narrative set from 1953 to 2023. It recounts both the rise to power of Roderick Usher, the powerful CEO of a corrupt pharmaceutical company, and his sister Madeline Usher, the firm's genius COO, and the events leading to the deaths of all 6 of Roderick's children. The ensemble cast, led by Carla Gugino as the mysterious Verna who plagues the Ushers, and Bruce Greenwood and Mary McDonnell as the elderly Roderick and Madeline. Yeah, I do enjoy Mike Flanagan. I do enjoy his work. I enjoy his feature film output, Hush, Oculus. I enjoyed Midnight Mass. I really enjoyed Haunting of Hill House. I thought Bly Manor was pretty good, not as good as Hill House. But yeah, post Midnight Mass, I just found it becoming a bit more of a struggle to become invested in the shows. I don't know why. They're shot very well, but the Midnight Club, I just I just didn't really get into it. I found myself forcing myself to watch each episode, and I didn't finish it. I got over halfway through, but I was just finding myself like, oh, I'm kind of just watching this because I want it to get better. It's not bad, it's just not doing it for me. And because of that, the Fall of the House of Usher came out, and it didn't really register on my radar. It was in my to watch list for quite a while, and it's still on there. It's still on Netflix, but yeah, I've heard that it's better than the Midnight Club, but for whatever reason, I haven't got around to starting it. And I think, okay, in terms of like historical fiction, I've never really been that fussed with Edgar Allan Poe. In terms of, I've not really read much Edgar Allan Poe, to be honest. And it's something where have I heard that kind of buzz about it? Have I heard or seen the clips online that make me go, "Ooh, what's this? I need to give this a watch"? No. I haven't heard that, oh, this particular episode's incredible, or the moment when so and so finds out this, that, and the other. I just haven't heard those kind of buzz phrases about it. I haven't heard much chatter about the Fall of the House of Usher, and that's kind of what's then stopping me from thinking, you know what, I'm now going to allocate the next hour of my time to an episode of this and see if it hooks me. You know, time is a valuable thing. So I've not given it a watch, but if you're listening to this, watching this, and you really enjoyed Fall of the House of Usher, let me know. Tell me what it is that I'm missing out on this show. We're now going to be moving to not Stephen King, but his son Joe Hill. We are going to be moving to Nosferatu, which I believe is available on ITVX. So I don't really have a reason not to be watching this. Yeah, ITVX. There you go. I've got no excuse. But Nosferatu it's not NOS4A2. It's Nosferatu. Is an American supernatural horror drama television series based on the 2013 novel of the same name by Joe Hill that ran on AMC from June 2nd, 2009 to August 23rd, 2020. Created by Jamie O'Brien, stars Ashley Cummings, Zachary Quinto, Jakara Smith, Olafur Darri Olafsson, Virginia Kuehl, and Ebon Moss Backrack. It's got Ebon in it. The series deals with a working class artist who uses supernatural abilities to track an immortal being who preys on children. The series was cancelled after 2 seasons after completing the storyline presented in the original novel. Okay, so it got cancelled, but it finished the storyline. So good. That is good, because the book is really good. I think I'd first off read Heart-Shaped Box, which is a really good ghost story by Joe Hill. Then I either read Nosferatu or I read The Fireman. I think I might have read The Fireman next because that had just come out, and I remember thinking this is a bit of a slog, and I can't. If you ask me right now, what was that book about? Can't remember. A bit, Fahrenheit 440, whatever it is. Yeah, exactly. It's a bit of a brain fart. Well written, but a bit of a slog, and not one that I really kind of connected with that much, to be honest. But either before that or after that, I read Nosferatu. It's a badass book. Really, 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 really good. It's it connects you to the characters in an awesome fashion, and the character of Charlie Manx, who's the evil vampire type character in it, he's quite terrifying in places. And Christmas Land sounds nice and everything, but it is like a snowy hell on earth filled with vampire kids. It's insane. The novel goes to some mad places, but I generally. Oh, and the composer for the TV show is Mike Patton. That's another cool little thing. But I remember hearing about this, but for whatever reason, it wasn't really readily available. Again, in the UK, it's one of those shows that I kind of saw that there'd been 2 seasons of it long after it had finished. But it wasn't readily available. It wasn't on Prime, wasn't on Netflix. The typical go-tos. Wasn't on any of the channels, I don't think, on Prime that you can sub to. But as mentioned, I don't really have an excuse now not to watch this. It is available on ITVX at the moment, so I'm going to have to give it a go. Ashley Cummings, I don't know a lot about, but Zachary Quinto's pretty good. He was Skylar, whatever his name is in Heroes, that started off brilliantly and went downhill rapidly. Such a decline on that show. And then finally, one that I really do want to watch, but I currently can't watch because it hasn't come out yet. It, Welcome to Derry. Of course, Stephen King. Now, this is the prequel to the films It and It Chapter 2. I loved It Chapter 1. I loved the It miniseries from 1990. Chapter 2 had issues. The CGI was kind of shonky on it. The ending was absolutely I really didn't like the ending. I could see what they were trying to do. I could see how they were trying to partially adapt the ending of the book without it being so overtly odd that they're not fighting Pennywise anymore, but they're fighting a spider. But then the fact that they used name calling to defeat it, I thought was just awful. But jumping back into that universe, yeah, I'm all for it. It Chapter 2 was not enough to put me off the franchise, off the various adventures in that universe. It's got Andy Muschietti and Barbara Muschietti back as developers, and they've also directed a number of the episodes. It's starring Jovan Adepo, Chris Chalks, Taylor Page, James Remar, Stephen Ryder, with Bill Skarsgård reprising his role as Pennywise from the films. And there you go. The general plot looks to be a couple move with their son to Derry just as a girl disappears. With their arrival, very bad things begin to happen in town. So I believe we're going to be following a group of kids who are going to be starting to investigate what is going on with these disappearances. Very similar to the setup of It in its original timeline. Oh man, the trailers for this look great. Skarsgård back as Pennywise. What more could you want? October 2025 is when it's hitting HBO with 9 episodes. I don't know if they're all dropping at the same time or one a week, but I can't wait. So this is a show that I do want to see, that I've not seen, but that's because it's not out yet. Anyway, that is it, Ghouls and Fiends, for another edition of the Ministry of Horror. I was about to say Slam. I may well have said Slam earlier on. The Ministry of Horror. Thank you very much for watching or listening. Be sure, on whatever platform you're watching this on, to like, follow and subscribe. Give it a review, because it really does help build it up in the algorithm. I occasionally stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Tezius, Tezius. Sometimes we do live shows there. Sometimes I do horror gaming or just chill gaming, but give the channel a follow. It really does help. There's also a donate button on there if you want to help a brother out who's getting married in a couple of months, literally. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/Ministry of Horror. That is where I'll occasionally do blogs. You can also help support the channel. The show normally goes out 48 hours early, and there's also a bonus podcast that we've got a couple of episodes of called 90 Slay Fiance. Socials, search for us Ministry of Horror on all socials. You can see from the logo, the MOH logo. Don't let any other pretender confuse you. And TikTok. TikTok is where we're doing okay. Ministry of Horror or ministry.of.horror. Check us out on TikTok. Thank you very much for giving me your time. Be sure to watch lots of horror, play lots of horror, read lots of horror, and I will catch you next time. Goodbye.